We are really lucky to have you tonight or today with us.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you so much. I'm sure we have a lot of attendees right now, and the number is still increasing. I'm sure most, if not all of them, knows who is Joe Finder. You are here with us today. We're lucky to have you. Today marks the first virtual book club session of Sharjah Book Authority. So I guess we're lucky to have you with this first session virtually. Is there a way over that? I mean, or around it? I mean, I hear writers say that they self-taught themselves or that they had mistakes down the road there. Is there a way that we can overcome these things if I'm talking to a beginner writer, for say?
Mm-hmm. A way to overcome what?
I don't know, the hard, it must be really a hard time, especially with your first novel, teaching yourself, going through errors, reading books.
Well, but I think that the only way to become a writer is to be a reader. And you have to, and I know you know this, you taught yourself to write, I suspect.
Yes.
Right? By reading novels that got you inspired, right? So, I mean, you basically did the same thing that I did. Mm-hmm. I just didn't call it, mine is called thriller school,
But generally, how do you deal with your characters? How do you create them?
They're almost always based on somebody I know or have met.
Okay.
I will sometimes do interviews of my sources, and I'll base characters on those people.
Okay.
So in a sense, I have to ideally meet somebody, mm-hmm. and spend a little time talking. And so I think a lot then about the character and how the characters are going to interact, mm-hmm. and how they're going to interact with my main character. Ideally what you want to do is you want to have the subsidiary characters have some role, have some actual character revealed in the story. And as the book goes along, we learn more and more about each of the characters, mm-hmm. in a standalone novel.
There's a question from Fida. She says, or he says, Joe, this is so inspiring, thank you. Do you have any suggestions for books to read to help authors create characters different than them? I mean, she means how to write characters different than you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The easiest answer to that is that you want to read novels that you love. And when you ask your friends for recommendations, you read them, you don't love every book. If you're reading a novel that you love, you can sort of reread it and sort of figure out how the characters were presented to us. Mm-hmm. You want, the hero of my book, Judgment, is a woman. And I got a lot of emails from people saying, how could you inhabit the character of a woman?
Yes.
And I said, well, I've inhabited the character of a terrorist, I've inhabited the character of a murderer. So, writers do that. You have to. And and I also read certain books that had good, strong female characters. So again, you sort of teach yourself. Uh-huh. And Fida, I wanted to tell you that, this is teaching yourself how to do it. That's one of the really hard parts of the business.
True.
So you have to be patient. Give yourself, a break and be patient.
What were the books that you still have them closer to your heart? The books that you read maybe as a child or a little bit older and you still adore them? Books that you read more than once, maybe characters that you fell in love with?
Mm-hmm. There was a book, sort of a science fiction book called A Wrinkle in Time. A Wrinkle in Time was I read that book so many times. It was just transporting. It really took me away. It was terrific as a kid. I also read as a kid a series of books called the the Mushroom Planet books, The Wonderful Flight to the Mushroom Planet. And that in that story, two boys around 12 years old or something like that build a rocket ship on the instructions of a mysterious old man, and they fly, they rocket off, and they land on a planet full of mushrooms, which is very different, have not been seen before. Anyway,
Yes.
I loved this book so much as a kid that I wrote a letter to the author, a woman named Ellen McCann. And I got back a form letter, but on it was her return address. So I wrote to her return address, and I said, but you haven't answered my questions. And we went back and forth, and basically she was my pen pal for several years. And
That's
that
amazing.
was when I decided I wanted to be a writer. I just sort of thought how cool it would be to make up these characters and make up these stories.
Yeah.
So that's a book that made me a writer.